Today we hear from Jody Ruppert, CEO of OSI Physical Therapy. Jody will discuss creating a high-performance work team culture. She received her master's degree in organizational leadership and did her master's thesis on building high-performance teams in healthcare. She has completed the EIM Institute's Executive Program in Practice Management, a program designed to train and equip professionals to deal with the challenging and ever-changing healthcare environment. She has helped many people grow and advance in the healthcare profession.
Welcome to the Leadership Edge program. My name is Jody Ruppert, CEO of OSI Physical Therapy. In this week's lesson, you are learning about the importance of creating a high-performance work team culture. In your workbook, you'll learn the difference between group, team, and a high-performance team. And in particular, there are 7 characteristics that make up a high-performance team that over years of research have come to these common characteristics. One being a shared purpose. The shared purpose correlates to everyone being on the same page, working towards the same vision and mission. Involvement means everyone has a purpose on the team. They have a specific role and responsibility to help achieve that vision. In addition is commitment. Everyone is committed to the goals and purpose of the team and the organization. There's also trust. Trust in your peers, holding each other accountable, holding yourself accountable to the responsibilities and tasks to achieve that vision and mission. Communication. Two-way communication is extremely important in the characteristics of a high-performance work team culture. There needs to be constructive and positive feedback, both from leadership as well as from those performing the work. There's also process orientation. As you learned in the workbook, process orientation means that there are certain policies, procedures, and systems in place to help your organization and your staff and your peers be responsible for and held accountable to, and as well to help them succeed in the tasks that need to get done in their everyday work. And then finally, there is continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is extremely important in this process, and that you want feedback, no matter what your responsibility is, to give you positive reinforcement on ways and ideas to improve your organization. In saying that, for these 7 characteristics, you may be asking yourself, so what's the importance of this? Why is this? What does this mean to me in my world? Well, if you think about it, have you ever heard of a professional sports team, or maybe a committee, or in government, politics is a good example of when teams work well and when they don't? It's really hard to find, if it even exists, any team that's successful that doesn't display these 7 characteristics. Several years back, we had a clinician who, by all indications, was highly valuable to the organization. Brought in new patients, very productive, would take walk-in patients over the lunch hour, would stay late, would work weekends if needed, very positive relationships with referral sources, very positive with patients. However, this person in particular was cancerous to the culture of that clinic. And I say that because although there was all these positive things of this person, in particular, this person also exuded behaviors that displayed distrust amongst each other, was critical of her peers, was critical of leadership, didn't fully buy into the vision, didn't fully trust others. And in that, her behavior required many hours and a long period of time a focus on my leadership and management of her, as well as from her peers. The point in saying that is the distraction became a focus of her. Time and attention was focused towards her because she was having problems with peers and she was having problems in performance. And it was a very interesting case scenario in that it was a struggle for me as a leader because she had so much value to the organization, but yet at the same time she was literally destroying relationships with her peers and the leadership of the company. She had high value and high enthusiasm, but really struggled in being constructive and positive in her actions and interactions with her peers. Therefore, too much focus, time, and attention was spent on her, where really, when a team is displaying, every member is displaying that high performance work team characteristic, in that, then the focus can now be on process improvement, vision, positive goal, positive focus for that company and for that team in reaching and achieving the expectations. If you think about it, if you are a peer of a person who requires a lot of focus and attention and can be a distraction, that can be very frustrating when you feel like everyone else is moving in one direction and you've got one person really kind of bucking the system. In addition to that, leadership. When leadership or management requires that focus, it also takes away from the focus of thinking of new ideas and creating a stronger vision of where the direction should be and helping the team grow in that direction. Years ago, we had a location that wasn't meeting any particular goal or benchmark. From that standpoint, they were frustrated. They didn't have a clear vision for themselves, didn't fully understand the vision of our company and where we wanted to go. In addition to that, they really were kind of self-worker bees. They were focused in on themselves and what their responsibility was and really didn't look outside to see what was going on with their peers, what impact they had on their peers, and therefore the clinic as a whole really didn't meet any expectation. Ultimately, the decision had to come down to making a change. And so ultimately that change came from a change in leadership, and in some cases it was a change in staffing. And today some staff are still there that were there years ago. But now with that change in leadership, with a positive leader, a leader who is holding accountable in a very positive way his team members, now this clinic is exceeding all benchmarks and expectations, from photo to productivity, new patient growth. And every time I walk into that clinic today, it's all positive. Everyone has smiles on their face. They're busier than they've ever been, yet it's a very positive experience for them. They all say they love working there. And really now all their benchmarks have exceeded our expectations. So those are two examples of how a person, an individual, or sometimes a whole team has to be disrupted and needs the leadership to help guide them through ensuring that the high performance team is there to collectively working on all 7 characteristics. Let me be clear, a high performance work team is not a perfect team. They're a team that constantly works at the 7 characteristics, and sometimes that means mentoring and leading each other. Sometimes it means changing someone out of that team. It could be various ways that you as a follower and or a leader can impact that team. In a high performance work team culture, there are several ways to create that culture, to nurture that culture. If you are not a manager or in a leadership role specifically, one thing I would challenge you to do is go back to that workbook and really read through those 7 characteristics and self-reflect on where you're at with those 7 characteristics. I would also encourage you to describe or to think about in your mind, where does your team fit? Are they succeeding in all 7 of those characteristics? If you find yourself are not meeting any of those or some of those, or your team is not, that's an opportunity or time to reach out to your manager, supervisor, or leader and give them constructive feedback to help problem solve why or what may be impacting that team or your team from accelerating. If you are a manager or a leader of others, the important part of this, of what you read in the workbook, is the HANA model. The HANA model is one that I use on a regular basis, at least annually, if not semi-annually. And I really critically look at each location and how that model and that location fit together. So I look at external forces to the company and organization, and specifically that location. I look at specific goals and strategies for that location. I also take a look at our results and see what are we hitting and what are we missing. And then I focus in on the culture of that location. Are we hitting on all 7 characteristics? Are we displaying the culture characteristics that we want to see in a high-performance work team. If not, then I go back and I work with managers and the team themselves on understanding what that barrier is. Every year I send to staff a high-performance work team tool. And there are specific questions around each of the 7 characteristics so that I can get honest and open feedback from each team on how they're doing. Or when problems are shown in that tool, I work with that team on how to better or how to improve their performance in that area. What barriers there may be. It might be processes and procedures, it might be external forces, it might be certain people within that team. But either way, that's a tool that I use on a regular basis for helping me understand how to help that team succeed. So whatever your role is or responsibilities are, I strongly encourage you to understand for yourself how you impact that culture, as well to help your leader or you as a leader, your team succeed by using the tools given to you in the workbook. There are 7 characteristics that make up a high-performance team, one being a shared purpose. Involvement means everyone has a purpose on the team. In addition is commitment. There's also trust, communication. There's also process orientation. And then finally there is continuous improvement. A high-performance work team is not a perfect team. They're a team that constantly works at the 7 characteristics. And sometimes that means mentoring and leading each other. Sometimes it means changing someone out of that team. The HANA model is one that I use on a regular basis for helping me understand how to help that team succeed. Whatever your role is or responsibilities are, I strongly encourage you to understand for yourself how you impact that culture to help your leader or you as a leader, your team succeed.